business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them.
And that really has been killing Tesla, killing all automakers.
The impact has been extreme. I mean, I'd like to put it in context here. The first Trump administration.
It was something we thought would never happen. Two giant American car companies, Tesla and Ford, stopping their production in the United States, only to start it up again just across the northern border. But that's exactly what happened. A real punch to the gut of what American industry is all about. The Ford Super Duty, which has always been known as the ultimate American truck, is now being put together in Oakville, Ontario. And get this, Tesla's new 4,680 battery, which was supposed to be the key to America leading the way in clean energy, is being made in Quebec. They're using cheap power from dams and getting a huge $1.2 billion in help from the Canadian government. Back in the US, the difference is huge. Factories that used to be busy in Michigan and Ohio are now quiet. Their gates are locked, parking lots are empty, and for sale signs wave where thousands of workers used to walk in every morning. Towns that lived and breathed American industry for many years now face empty buildings, left to wonder how something they thought would never happen actually did. From Detroit to Toledo, a big question hangs in the air. How did American cars end up being built in Canada while American workers are left behind? If it hurt to lose the factories, the money side of it is even tougher to take. Trump's big 25% taxes on imports were supposed to help American workers. But instead, they made every car more and more expensive. What used to be a good thing for businesses became a huge problem. Ford thinks it will lose $2.5 billion in 2025 alone, with almost $800 million lost to these taxes in just 3 months. Tesla didn't do any better, adding an extra $300 million in costs during the same time. Just days after Trump's so-called Freedom Day, Tesla's stock lost 20% of its value. For Wall Street, it was a shock. For regular folks, it was even worse, a sign that buying a new car was becoming something they just couldn't afford. Experts at Cox Automotive guess that every car made in the US now costs an extra $6,000 to make, while money expert Arthur Laffer warns that car prices could jump by about $4,711. This puts a huge strain on the very middle-class families these new rules were supposed to help, making us wonder, how long can Americans handle these high costs before made in the USA becomes too expensive to even think about? While American families were struggling with really high prices, Canada saw a chance and they took it. While Washington was building walls with taxes on imports, Ottawa rolled out the red carpet with money help and cheap, reliable power. Ford took a $590 million help package to make 1,800 jobs in Ontario, a deal that didn't just move machines but also jobs across the border. Tesla went even further, putting their future in Quebec with a $1.2 billion help package to make their important 4680 battery. For Canada, this was more than just a business win. It was the start of a whole new industrial age for their country. The plan was simple and effective. Lots of hydroelectric power to cut down on running costs, a simple approval system free from endless red tape, and a stable workforce, less likely to go on strike, advantages the United States just couldn't reliably offer anymore. The result was a cruel twist. While factories in Michigan and Ohio went quiet, cities in Ontario and Quebec were buzzing with new hires. American workers stood in line at unemployment offices, while Canadian job fairs were overflowing with opportunities. South of the border, things weren't so great. The human cost of these factories moving away made people really mad. Tens of thousands of workers in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana suddenly lost their jobs, and their towns started to fall apart as the steady hum of factory life disappeared. For communities that were built on being loyal to Ford and Tesla, it felt less like a change in money and more like a stab in the back. Even people buying cars got caught in the mess, having to pay thousands of dollars more for each car. Middle-class families gave up on buying new cars, leaving Midwest dealerships eerily empty. For many, the frustration went beyond money. It hit their pride. Cars always stood for American strength, and now even that symbol seemed out of reach. Politicians from both parties joined the chorus, saying Trump's tariff plan had backfired, What was supposed to bring back American industry was actually emptying it out. In a big public fight, Elon Musk went up against Trump's advisor, Peter Navarro, openly warning that the next few months would be nothing short of a tough time. The anger showed a deeper truth. America's supposed advantage had turned into a disadvantage. Instead of making jobs, the tariffs turned the United States into what business leaders now called a costly and unstable place to do business. About 40 to 50% of the parts in a car made in the US come from other countries. With the new rules, these parts got hit with extra taxes, making costs go way up even before the car was put together. Ford bosses warned that this policy put them at a big disadvantage compared to rivals like Toyota and Hyundai. These companies got lower taxes because of newer trade deals. Tesla got hit in a different way. By getting rid of fines for going over pollution limits, Trump made the market for carbon credits disappear. This took away an estimated $2.8 billion in income from Tesla. It was a good way to make money in the green economy, and it vanished overnight. In every meeting room, everyone agreed. Making things in America wasn't about being patriotic or making good money anymore. It was the riskiest thing a company could do. What started in the car business quickly spread. Cracks in America's factory foundation turned into big problems that hurt the economy. Stellantis said they would lay off 900 people and stopped work at many of their factories in the US. This sent shockwaves through the Midwest, a clear sign that companies leaving wouldn't stop with Ford and Tesla. Soon, well-known companies, not just car companies, started to change their plans. Companies like Coca-Cola, Campbell's Soup, and even Walmart quietly moved their supply chains to Canada. These weren't just symbolic moves. They were smart, planned decisions to take advantage of lower production costs and to avoid the high taxes the US put on important materials like steel and aluminum. By moving even a small part of their operations, these companies protected their money while at the same time hurting the US economy right where it mattered most. The damage was quick and easy to see. States that had a lot of factories, especially car factories, for many years, saw their local economies fall apart. Stores got weaker, service companies had a tough time, and house prices went way down as workers who lost their jobs moved away. Empty stores and abandoned houses started showing up in towns that used to be busy and successful, making these once proud factory towns into examples of what not to do. Experts saw warning lights flashing red. When one part of the economy went down, it affected others too, like shipping, food delivery, housing, and even money. This wasn't just a slowdown in factories. It was a chain reaction that put the whole US economy at risk. People on TV started calling it not just a problem for car companies, but a huge economic earthquake, one that could really shake up how well Americans were doing if it wasn't stopped. Factories leaving was only half the story. Canada didn't just welcome American production, it fought back with its own trade weapons. Ottawa showed off ways to get back at Washington using the same type of taxes. They used the USMCA agreement to make the fight fair. What Washington thought was a one-sided show of power suddenly turned into a fight between equals. Prime Minister Mark Carney made it clear, if the United States chose to protect its own industries, Canada would fight back just as hard, making sure its workers wouldn't get hurt in the process. This wasn't just talk. It was a statement that Ottawa would no longer be the junior partner in North America's economy. The timing was really bad for Washington. At home, the government was already dealing with upset unemployed workers and people buying things who were facing really high prices. Canada's response meant that American businesses selling things to other countries now had problems overseas, just as their own market at home was getting worse. The pressure wasn't just about money, but also about politics, as governors from states with many factories asked for help, and business groups warned that companies would stop putting money into things there over time. All over the world, things got even crazier. Canada's brave move showed other countries that they could stand up to Washington without everything falling apart right away. In places like Brussels, Berlin, and Tokyo, leaders quietly started to wonder if they should also think about doing similar things instead of just giving in. What started as a fight about taxes between neighbors had become a huge example that affected the whole world. The standstill showed something even funnier. The USMCA, a trade deal made to keep America in charge, was now being used against it. By looking closely at its legal and money rules, Canada not only stood up for itself, but showed how weak Washington's plan was. It was a turning point, the moment when America's best friend showed that the rules of the game were no longer only decided by the United States. The Tesla-Ford problem was never just about two companies. It was actually the first piece of a bigger puzzle, a picture of a big industrial country quietly falling apart. American companies leaving was a clear reminder that trying to protect our own businesses, instead of keeping industries safe, can easily make them fall apart from the inside. The Made in USA label, which used to show how proud and trustworthy something was losing its power. Even close friends didn't feel tied to it anymore, choosing to find steadiness somewhere else. What used to mean being in charge was now becoming unimportant. The global car industry showed just how broken things were. Prices went up, supply chains fell apart, and markets got more broken every day. Taxes on steel and cars caused problems all over the world, pulling in makers, suppliers, and shoppers into a mess. And so a question hangs over every factory floor and meeting room. Can the United States still be a top industrial country? Or has it already become an outsider? This is the important choice America faces now. The choices made in Washington are no longer just about our country. They affect the whole world, changing industries and friendships between countries. If protecting our own businesses started a chain reaction around the world, where does that chain finally end?